It's 3:47 a.m. on a September morning in 2024. The radar screen at West Cornwall Sea Observatory displays a single dot crossing the darkness. Within a few minutes, that dot would initiate the largest ever drug bust in recent UK history. A 28-mile high-speed pursuit that ended with £18 million worth of cocaine on the seabed. It's no typical crime drama. There were no shots fired and no assaults. Just 3 men on a speedboat who believed they couldn't be caught. Before we take a closer examination of this action-packed pursuit, please press that subscribe button so you don't miss more terrific stories like this one. The entire episode started early on the morning of September 13th, 2024. Border Force officers were carrying out routine checks on vessels along the coast of Newquay, Cornwall. They noticed one vessel in particular, a rigid-hulled inflatable vessel, or a RIB for short. RIBs are lightweight, fast, and can navigate shallow waters, making them perfectly suited for clandestine use along the coast. The officers noticed the RIB acting suspiciously, meaning it was likely engaged in criminal activity rather than normal boat traffic. Intelligence had revealed that the RIB had recently transferred goods from a larger ship into a smaller vessel. Drug trafficking organizations commonly utilize this tactic to remain concealed from standard ports. As the Border Force vessel approached the RIB to stop and inspect it, the crew of the RIB reacted instantly. Rather than comply with the officer's instructions to stop, the RIB took off, initiating a high-speed chase. This initiated a relentless 28-mile hunt through the open waters of the English Channel. In this fierce chase, the crew of the RIB went to great lengths to dispose of evidence. They began dumping big, heavy parcels into the water. Subsequently, it was found that the parcels contained pure cocaine. The Border Force officers, who were closely tailing them, closely observed these activities and gathered valuable evidence of the illegal shipment being discarded. The officers had not just set out to arrest the suspects, but also to retrieve what had been discarded, which consisted of huge quantities of Class A drugs. The pursuit lasted for hours, demonstrating the determination of both the smugglers to evade capture and the Border Force to apprehend them. The high-speed sea chase lasted for hours, eventually ending in a spectacular conclusion when the RIB, unable to shake off followers, crashed on Gangland beach. The remote beach near Penzance in Cornwall was the unexpected end to the sea chase. The impact of the grounding brought the vessel to an immediate and jarring halt. The 3 people aboard the RIB were Peter Williams, Scott Johnston, and Edwin Yahir Tabora Baka. They tried to escape on foot. Their attempt to flee across the beach was swiftly thwarted. Border Force officers, who had followed closely throughout the chase, quickly caught up with all 3 suspects on the beach and detained them at the crash scene. The rapid apprehension prevented any further attempts to dispose of evidence or evade capture. Following the arrest, quick action was taken to recover the abandoned cargo. Border Force, supported by specialist agencies, carried out a thorough recovery operation in the seas around the area and along the coastline. The operation successfully recovered 6 large bales that had been abandoned in the sea during the chase. These bales contained approximately 230 kilograms of cocaine, with a high illegal value and damage potential. The street value of this recovered shipment was estimated at £18.4 million. This significant recovery was a blow to the illegal drug supply chain targeted at the UK market, preventing a large quantity of drugs from reaching communities and causing social and economic damage. The recovery operation was crucial to gathering evidence to support prosecution. The magnitude and complexity of the operation necessitated that the case be referred to the National Crime Agency as a priority. The National Crime Agency is known as the UK's primary law enforcement agency for serious and organised crime, and they conducted a thorough investigation. They aimed to identify and apprehend all the people involved in the smuggling operation, not just the 3 men who were first arrested on Gangland beach. The National Crime Agency employed a variety of methods for their investigation, combining cutting-edge digital forensic methods with tactics that have been used for centuries. The National Crime Agency went through enormous amounts of data. They tracked CCTV footage in various coastal locations to chart movements and interactions, reviewed call data to map communication patterns and contacts, and intercepted and decrypted encrypted mobile messages. The in-depth investigation unveiled a highly organized criminal network behind the entire operation, from organizational and logistical planning at the outset to the failed distribution of cocaine. As more evidence accumulated, it became possible to pinpoint 4 other key figures whose roles indicated just how extensive and sophisticated the network was. Alex Fowley oversaw the logistics. He made the bookings for the rib used on the smuggling trip that eventually crashed. Audio recordings obtained from his phone weeks after the September 13th raid indicated he was still eager to arrange more drug pickups out at sea. In the recordings, he discussed stockpiling up to a ton of drugs and claiming there was zero risk attached to it. The conversations indicated he was still set on drug trafficking, despite the initial arrests and seizure, highlighting the audacity of the criminal network. Bobby Pierce worked on the team on the Cornish coast. His role was to intercept the rib and help deliver the cocaine after it landed on shore, indicating a pre-arranged meeting point. Michael May, similar to Pierce, was another integral part of the onshore team. His involvement cantered on the coordination and reception of the cocaine once it was brought ashore, ensuring its onward movement into the distribution network. His presence was crucial for the successful land-based logistics of the operation. Terry Willis was also on the coast to collect the drugs. Police raided his home during the investigation and discovered a revolver and ammunition, which earned him additional charges of money laundering and firearm possession. This discovery indicated that he was ready to use force and implied that he was more deeply involved in organized crime than merely drug smuggling. These individuals were tracked using a high-level network of communication patterns, financial transactions, and physical travel, all of which were carefully mapped and analyzed by the National Crime Agency. The investigation demonstrated that this was a well-organized criminal enterprise with multiple parties, all of which had different functions in the drug importation scheme, from procurement to distribution. The legal proceedings against the 7 men began with their initial court appearances. Like most complex criminal cases, all 7 men initially pleaded not guilty, aiming to challenge the prosecution's evidence. Edwin Yahir Tabora Baka, who was one of the 3 men detained on the boat, insisted he was an innocent bystander. He insisted he was a tourist who had accepted an unsolicited invitation from Peter Williams and Scott Johnston to go fishing. This assertion, however, was clearly and forcefully countered by undeniable evidence on his phone. This evidence, which included messages detailing the criminal activities of the group, and more so, a photo of the cocaine shipment on the boat, was crucial in breaking down his defense, demonstrating that he was a willing participant and aware. As the prosecution presented its case, the evidence was clear for several defendants. Faced with the solid and well-organized evidence from the investigation, 5 of the 7 men later pleaded guilty. They pleaded guilty to conspiring to import Class A drugs. One of the men was Terry Willis, whose guilty plea also involved additional charges of money laundering and possession of a firearm, as a weapon and ammunition were discovered at his residence during the investigation by the National Crime Agency. His plea showed how dangerous the crime enterprise was and his stronger connections to organized crime. However, 2 of the key defendants, Michael May and Scott Johnston, maintained their not guilty pleas. Their case proceeded to a full trial at Truro Crown Court. The 2-week trial saw the prosecution show all the evidence gathered by both the National Crime Agency and Border Force with great care. The evidence included detailed descriptions of the 28-mile sea chase, the forensic analysis proving the high purity of the seized cocaine, extensive mobile phone records, intercepted audio messages, and expert evidence regarding the careful planning involved in the smuggling operation. The court heard how these men were involved in a planned and dangerous enterprise for the potential large financial gain from the drug importation and how their actions posed a direct threat to public safety. On June 23, 2025, the jury delivered their verdict. Michael May and Scott Johnston were convicted of conspiracy to bring Class A drugs into the country. The verdict marked the conclusion of the trial of all 7 defendants. All the convicted defendants were held in custody, pending their sentencing. The sentencing hearing for all 7 men will be conducted at Truro Crown Court on August 1, 2025, when the full extent of their legal punishments will be determined. The seizure of the £18.4 million cocaine shipment and the subsequent convictions are a major blow to organised crime. The success of the cooperation between the National Crime Agency and the UK Border Force has been key in demonstrating effective collaboration. This operation is a clear message to criminal groups that smuggling will be met with effective and coordinated law enforcement action. What are your thoughts on this daring drug smuggling operation? Do you think the authorities' swift action was enough to deter future attempts? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.